Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the Indian para-athlete contingent for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games virtually. Need for constantly improving techniques to develop sports culture in the country, urges Prime Minister. In Afghanistan, military flights evacuating diplomats and civilians resumed at Kabul airport in wee hours today. Indian Air Force aircraft C-17 lands at Jamnagar Air Base, carrying Indian ambassador including embassy staff and others. India witnesses highest single-day vaccination of 88,13,000 doses in the last 24 hours. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.51%. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia reaches Guwahati to review the COVID-19 situation in northeastern states. Centre allocates 267.35 crore rupees to Kerala under Emergency COVID Response Package 2. A brief monsoon session of Uttar Pradesh legislature begins. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York to preside over two high-level signature events of the United Nations. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 01123978046 and 1075. And now, the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed the need for constantly improving techniques to develop the sports culture in the country. Interacting with the Indian para-athlete contingent for the Tokyo 2020 through video conferencing, Mr. Modi said, along with the international sports, traditional Indian sports are also being given a new identity. Mr. Modi said, 360 Khelo India centers have opened up in over 250 districts across the nation, and these centers will be increased to 1,000 in the near future. Terming the para-athletes as the real champions, he added that New India does not pressurize its athletes for medals. It only wants them to give their 100% without any mental pressure. Mr. Modi said there are so many youths who have the ability to bring so many medals, and the country is trying to reach out to them with special attention to rural areas. He said earlier, providing facilities for the differently abled was considered as welfare. But today, the country is working for that as a responsibility. Mr. Modi said that life is full of obstacles, but it is the indomitable spirit that makes people do something big in life. During her interaction with the Prime Minister, para archer Jyoti Balyan shared her inspiring story of how she overcame the depression of losing her father and now aspires to win the medal for the nation.
ज्योति जी, आप कभी बड़ी निराश हो गई, थक गई और आप खेल छोड़ने के लिए सोच रही थी। परिवार का भी आपके सामने काफी जिम्मेवारियां थी। ऐसे में ऐसा क्या हुआ कि आपने फिर से हिम्मत करके लौट आई, फिर से आपने अपना जज्बा कायम किया? इसमें सरकार की भी कोई मदद मिली या नहीं मिली?
सर, जब मेरे पिताजी का निधन हो गया था तो मैं बहुत टूट गई थी अंदर से। मैं गरीब फैमिली से हूँ। मेरे कोच श्री कुलदीप वेदवान जी ने मुझे बहुत मोटिवेट किया। अभी मैं श्री माता वैष्णो देवी श्राइन बोर्ड आर्चरी एकेडमी में प्रैक्टिस करती हूँ और वहाँ पे उन्होंने मुझे बहुत सपोर्ट किया।
ये आपका पहला ओलंपिक है?
जी सर।
आप मुझे बताइए, आपका क्या लक्ष्य है इस ओलंपिक में?
सर, मेरा ये लक्ष्य है कि मैं देश के लिए पदक जीतूं और देश का नाम रोशन करूं।
Para archer Rakesh Kumar said that after his accident in 2010, he used to take help of two persons to even sit up. But in 2017, his life changed when he met his coach who inspired him to join sports.
राकेश जी, आपके कोच का आपके जीवन में क्या योगदान रहा है?
सर, ये बात सच है कि जब 2009 में मेरा एक्सीडेंट हुआ था तो मेरा जीवन काफी अस्त व्यस्त हो गया था। मुझे करीब 1 साल के लिए अगर मुझे बेड से बैठना भी होता तो मुझे 2 घंटों की आवश्यकता होती थी। लेकिन 2017 में जब मेरी मुलाकात मेरे कोच श्री कुलदीप कुमार विद्वान जी से हुई तो उन्होंने मुझे तीरंदाजी के लिए मोटिवेट किया। मुझे श्री माता वैष्णो देवी श्राइन बोर्ड स्टेडियम में आमंत्रित किया। ट्रेनिंग से लेके सारे उपकरण सर हमें फ्री में दिए जाते थे। जितनी भी सुविधाएं हैं वहाँ पे वो मुझे फ्री में मिली हैं। इसके लिए मेरे कोच साहब का बहुत बड़ा मार्गदर्शन से ही मैं यहाँ तक पहुँच पाया हूँ।
Javelin thrower Devendra Jhajaria said there were many challenges in his life, but he never lost his spirit to do something for the nation.
देवेंद्र जी, आपके जीवन में वो कौन सी बातें हैं जो देशवासी जानना चाहिए? क्योंकि आपका एक हाथ चला गया और गांव में रहने वाला इंसान और आज उम्र के उस पड़ाव पे हैं जहां कई लोग कहते हैं अब तो मेरी उम्र होगी मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता। आपने उस उम्र में भी खुद को नया ताकत देते रहते हैं।
सर, 9 साल की उम्र में जब मेरा एक हाथ बिजली की वजह से कट गया था तो जब मैं वापस घर पे आया था तो घर से बाहर निकलना मेरे लिए चैलेंज हो गया था। तो मेरी मम्मी पापा ने कहा कुछ नहीं हुआ, आप बाहर जाइए, बच्चों के साथ खेलिए। लेकिन वो दिन आज भी याद है जब मैंने बाहर बच्चों के साथ खेलना शुरू किया और जब स्कूल में मैंने खेल की शुरुआत की तो मेरे से इतने क्वेश्चन हुए। जब मैंने पहली बार भाला उठाया कि मैं फेंकूंगा भाला तो कहा कि आप किस लिए आए हो ग्राउंड में, आपका क्या काम है, आप तो दिव्यांग हो। उस दिन मुझे अंदर से ये फील हुआ कि मैं कमजोर नहीं कहलाऊंगा। मुझे कमजोर न कहलाने की जिद ने दुनिया का चैंपियन बनाया।
Para-athlete Mariyappan Thangavelu explained his journey from becoming a gold-winning athlete to a coach. He said that the mantra for young athletes is not to lose focus, train hard and never give up. Para-badminton player Palak Kohli said that her disability has now become her super ability with all the support from the academy and her family. Para-badminton player Parul Parmar also talked about her experience. The Prime Minister lauded her, saying she has worked hard on her fitness. Para powerlifter Sakina Khazun also shared her thoughts. Para cano athlete Prachi Yadav shared that it is due to her father's constant support that she has been able to realize her dreams. Parachuter Singh Raj said the government's financial support and cooperation helped him build his own 50-meter international level shooting range. Speaking on the occasion, Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur lauded the fighting spirit of para-athletes for showing brilliant performance at various international para-athletic games.
खेल मंत्रालय ने ये सुनिश्चित किया कि हमारे खिलाड़ियों को हर प्रकार की सुविधा मुहैया कराई जा सके जिससे उनकी तैयारी अव्वल दर्जे की हो, वह अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर देश का नाम रोशन कर सके। भारतीय पैरा एथलीट्स ने दुनिया भर में अंतर्राष्ट्रीय पैरा स्पोर्ट्स प्रतियोगिताओं में लगातार उत्कृष्ट प्रदर्शन किया है। आपने कई मौकों पर भारत को गौरवान्वित किया है और हर भारतीय का सिर फक्र से ऊंचा किया है।
54 para-athletes from across 9 sports disciplines will be heading to Tokyo to represent the nation. This is India's largest ever contingent to the Paralympic Games.
Indian Air Force aircraft C-17 landed at Jamnagar Air Base with all Indian evacuees from Kabul in Afghanistan this afternoon. The IAF aircraft will reach Delhi after refueling at Jamnagar Air Base of Indian Air Force. According to sources, the district collector of Jamnagar along with local leaders reached the Jamnagar Air Base and arranged lunch and other requirements for the evacuees. Sources said that the IAF C-17 heavy lift aircraft reached Jamnagar after taking a longer route via Iran to avoid the Pakistan airspace. IAF evacuated Indians from the Kabul embassy including staff, ITBP soldiers and others. A girl child having fever was treated at IAF medical facility within the Jamnagar Air Base. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has urged the Centre for immediate evacuation of the Kulgam professors teaching at Bhaktiyar University in Kabul. In this context, he spoke to Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan.
In Afghanistan, military flights evacuating diplomats and civilians resumed from the runway at Kabul airport in wee hours today. United States security forces cleared off the unruly crowd for smooth taxiing of the aircrafts. A Western security official at the facility told the news agency that many people who were in the airport premises have gone home. However, one could still hear occasional shots coming from the direction of the airport, while streets elsewhere in Kabul appeared calm. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has expressed deep concern by accounts of human rights violations against the women and girls of Afghanistan. In a tweet message, Mr. Guterres said that Afghan people are looking to the international community for support. He said they must not be let down.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has reached New York, where he will be presiding over 2 high-level signature events of the United Nations. The first event will be an open debate tomorrow on protecting the protectors, technology and peacekeeping. The second event on Thursday will be a high-level briefing on threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts. His visit to New York comes during India's presidency of the United Nations Security Council. The open debate on peacekeeping will focus on the theme of protecting the protectors, including through the use of modern technological tools to enhance the safety and security of peacekeepers and to aid peacekeeping missions. India achieved highest ever vaccination in a single day with more than 88,13,000 vaccine doses administered in the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said 55 crore 47 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive. India reported 25,166 new cases in the last 24 hours, which is the lowest in 154 days. The active case load is currently at 3,69,846. The national recovery rate is currently at 97.51%, the highest since March last year.
The Union Health Ministry has said that more than 56 crore 81 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far. It said that further 1 crore 9 lakh 32,960 doses are in the pipeline. It added that more than 2 crore 25 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories and private hospitals to be administered. The central government has decided to allocate 267 crore 35 lakh rupees to Kerala under Emergency COVID Response Package 2. This fund will strengthen the state's health infrastructure and effectively manage COVID. Other than this, 1 crore rupees will be made available for each district of the state for creating a medicine pool.
The central team visiting Kerala appreciated the state's COVID defense strategies. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia said that Kerala's method of using the COVID vaccine effectively without the wastage of vaccine doses is exemplary. The Union Minister pointed out that the infrastructure in the health sector in Kerala is excellent. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said it was an achievement that Kerala's COVID mortality rate was much lower than other states. Also, Kerala is way ahead of the national average in vaccine distribution. Meanwhile, Kerala witnessed a slight dip in COVID figures as it confirmed 12,294 COVID-positive cases yesterday. The test positivity rate stands at 14.03%. As of now, the active caseload in the state is 1,72,239. In Bihar, COVID vaccination coverage has crossed over 3 crore mark. 3 crore 1,33,000 beneficiaries have been vaccinated in the state so far. Meanwhile, over 7,15,000 people have so far recovered from the coronavirus infection. The state recovery rate has risen to over 98%, while the test positivity rate has declined to below 1%.
West Bengal is going to procure nearly 20 lakh syringes to continue the COVID vaccination drive in the state. According to the State Health Department, the vaccine wastage is negative and it consumed more syringes to vaccinate people. Over 3 crore 46 lakh people got inoculated so far, as nearly 95 lakh got both the doses. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia reached Guwahati this afternoon to review the COVID-19 situation in the northeastern states. All the health ministers of the northeastern states are likely to attend the review meeting. He will also review construction works of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, at Changsari in Kamrup district.
The United States has eased its travel advisory for India, lowering it to its second lowest level in the wake of significant improvement in COVID situation in the South Asian nation. The US has now categorized India's level 2, which is considered as safe. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, said India now has a moderate level of COVID-19. Earlier this year, the US had put India in level 4, which at that point of time was experiencing an unprecedented second wave of COVID-19.
In Uttarakhand, the state government has extended the ongoing COVID curfew by another week till 24th of August. The government has issued a fresh standard operating procedure that exempts people who have received both doses of vaccine 15 days before their arrival in the state from showing a negative test report. The fresh SOP said that the hotels, restaurants and dhabas will operate with 50% capacity.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the Indian para-athlete contingent for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games virtually. Need for constantly improving techniques to develop sports culture in the country, urges Prime Minister. In Afghanistan, military flights evacuating diplomats and civilians resumed at Kabul airport in the wee hours today. Indian Air Force aircraft C-17 lands at Jamnagar Air Base carrying Indian ambassador, including embassy staff and others. India witnesses highest single-day vaccination of 88,13,000 doses in the last 24 hours. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.51%. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia reaches Guwahati to review the COVID-19 situation in the northeastern states. Centre allocates 267.35 crore rupees to Kerala under Emergency COVID Response Package 2. A brief monsoon session of Uttar Pradesh legislature begins. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York to preside over 2 high-level signature events of the United Nations. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. In Uttar Pradesh, the short-term monsoon session of the state legislature began today. The supplementary budget of the state government will also be tabled during the session. The session is likely to remain stormy owing to various reasons, as the opposition Samajwadi Party staged a protest against the government on different issues outside the Vidhan Sabha Bhavan this morning. On the opening day of the session today, the Legislative Assembly was adjourned for the day after paying homage to its 6 sitting members. All party leaders paid tribute to the deceased members. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, in his condolence message, said this is an irreparable loss to the party and the House. He also paid homage to the Corona warriors and others who lost their lives due to COVID-19. Earlier, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said the government is ready to discuss all the issues related to the welfare of the people. He said the proceedings of the House will be positively carried ahead. According to the agenda issued by the Legislative Assembly, the supplementary demands will be tabled tomorrow on the 18th of August. The budget will be passed after a debate on the 19th. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar today made an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas of the state to assess the damage caused by the prevailing floods. Mr. Kumar made an aerial survey of the flood-affected Bhagalpur and Khagadia districts to take stock of the situation arising after the floods. After the aerial survey, Mr. Kumar held a review meeting with the district magistrates of the affected districts and instructed them to further step up relief and rescue operations in the affected areas of the state. 24 teams of NDRF and SDRF are carrying out relief and rescue operations. Over 2,500 country boats have also been pressed into service for transportation of the marooned people. Several rivers, including Ganga, Son, Punpun and Kosi, are flowing above the danger marks. Train services on Bhagalpur-Munger section and Kiul-Bhagalpur section have remained suspended on the fourth consecutive day due to submergence of the railway tracks at several places. Long route trains have been diverted on alternative routes.
In Madhya Pradesh, the newly inducted union ministers belonging to the state are leading Jan Ashirwad Yatras scheduled between 16th and 24th of August with an aim to seek blessings of people. A report.
Jan Ashirwad Yatras organized by state BJP begin from Datia on Monday. Union Minister SPS Baghel led the yatra from famous Pitambara Peeth, Datia to reach out to people. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia is leading the yatra from Devas, while Union Minister Dr. Virendra Kumar is conducting yatra from Gwalior. Union ministers will also seek blessings of sadhus, saints and others as informed by state BJP. They will visit religious places and also take part in various programs. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
As the nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events have been organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz will be conducted on every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news till 15th August 2022. AIR News got an overwhelming response from its listeners across the world, and the winner of yesterday's quiz is Rahul Kashyap from Shimla, Himachal Pradesh.
Azadi Ka Safar every day with All India Radio from Monday the 16th of August. As part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you the story of glorious struggle and sacrifices of freedom fighters on 100.1 FM Gold channel in the English news bulletins at 8:30 AM, 2 PM and 8:30 PM. Stay tuned.
Let's listen now to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle every day. In today's episode, we will give you a brief about Madan Lal Dhingra. This day is the death anniversary of Madan Lal Dhingra.
The wave of independence movement had started initially as a protest against the partition of Bengal, and it gradually grew into a demand for complete freedom. Indians realized the fact that a group of foreigners who came to our shores as traders had cleverly divided the people and started ruling them. The wealth of this vast land was systematically looted by them. The very same people who depended on us for their trade started crushing our cottage and village industries, treating the people of the soil as slaves. This naturally needed an equal and proportionate reply. The people revolted against the oppressors, and the country began witnessing sporadic protests, cruel treatment to the freedom fighters, legendary heroes by the British, agitated youth, and one of such young freedom activists was Madan Lal Dhingra.
Madan Lal Dhingra was born on 18th of September 1883 in Amritsar, Punjab. He went to Lahore in 1900 to study at the Government College University. There he was influenced by the nationalist movement, which at that time was about seeking home rule. Dhingra was specially troubled by the poverty of India. He studied the literature concerning the causes of Indian poverty and felt that the solution to these problems lay in Swaraj and Swadeshi. In 1904, Dhingra led a student protest against the principal's order to have the college blazer made of cloth imported from Britain. He was expelled from the college for this. In general, the incidence of revolutionary nationalism was on the rise during those days. This incident brought Dhingra closer to the revolutionary nationalism.
In 1905, Dhingra went to London and stayed in India House. India House was a student residence located in North London. With the patronage of lawyer Shyamji Krishna Verma, it was open to promote nationalist views among Indian students in Britain. It was in India House that Madan Lal Dhingra met V.D. Savarkar, who was then the manager of India House.
Meanwhile, on 8th of June 1909, Baba Rao Ganesh Savarkar, elder brother of Veer Savarkar, was sentenced to transportation for life. This deportation of Baba Rao Savarkar enraged the revolutionaries in London. William Hutt Curzon Wiley was the head of the secret police then and had been trying to obtain information about Savarkar and other revolutionaries. It was because of Curzon Wiley that the revolutionary freedom fighters in London were being targeted. The journal of Shyamji Krishnavarma, named The Indian Sociologist, described Wiley as old repentant foe of India who has fattened on the misery of the Indian peasant ever since they began their career. The resentment was such among the revolutionaries that somehow forced Dhingra to take an extreme step.
On 1st July 1909, Dhingra attended a gathering hosted by the National Indian Association at the Imperial Institute. William Hutt Curzon Wiley, the British officer, was also present in the meeting. At the end of the event, as the guests were leaving, Dhingra shot Curzon Wiley at point-blank range.
Dhingra was immediately arrested. At his trial, he represented himself, though he did not recognize the legitimacy of the court. He claimed that the gunning down of Curzon Wiley was a patriotic act and in retaliation for the inhuman killings of Indians by the British government in India. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. He was executed at Pentonville Prison on 17th of August 1909.
Young Madanlal Dhingra had a comfortable and promising start to life. His English education assured him that, but that wasn't to be. He preferred to avenge injustice done to his countrymen. He knew it very well that avenging would entail untold misery for him, yet he took the plunge. Such was the determination of young Dhingra, and this and many more such sacrifices paved the way for a freedom that was to come many decades later.
And what a coincidence it was that in 1947, the withdrawal of British forces started from 17th of August. On 17th of August, the first major unit made its exit from the former colony. A large contingent of the Royal Air Force sailed from Bombay to, as it was then known, back Great Britain. Of course, the total withdrawal of all British troops took time. It wasn't until February 1948 that the final departures took place.
British withdrawal signaled the end of the colonial Indian Army. Historians are predominantly in agreement that Lord Mountbatten's haste in withdrawing the British forces from India and essentially split the country. That's all today. Let's keep celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We'll bring you more tomorrow.
The Tourism Ministry is going to conduct an event with a theme, Another Day in Nirvan in Leh Ladakh, to rejuvenate tourism in the region. The 5-day event from the 25th to 29th of this month will be organized in collaboration with the Tourism Department of the Union Territory of Ladakh, TriFed, FICCI and local stakeholders.
The Sensex and the Nifty were trading almost flat in afternoon trade amid negative global cues. The BSE Sensex slipped 40 points to trade at 55,622. The NSE Nifty was 1 point down to trade at 16,562. In the forex market, the rupee weakened 6 paise to 74 rupees and 30 paise against the US dollar in the afternoon deals.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the Indian para-athlete contingent for Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games virtually. Need for constantly improving techniques to develop sports culture in the country, urges Prime Minister. In Afghanistan, military flights evacuating diplomats and civilians resumed at Kabul airport in wee hours today. Indian Air Force aircraft C-17 lands at Jamnagar Air Base, carrying Indian ambassador including embassy staff and others. India witnesses highest single-day vaccination of 88,13,000 doses in the last 24 hours. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.51%. Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandviya reaches Guwahati to review the COVID-19 situation in northeastern states. Centre allocates 267.35 crore rupees to Kerala under Emergency COVID Response Package 2. A brief monsoon session of Uttar Pradesh legislature begins. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in New York to preside over 2 high-level signature events of the United Nations. And with that, we end the midday news.